Hello and welcome to HeterochroMEDIA. I'm right now eating a candy bar. It's the Halloween season.
I'm just drinking.
You're just drinking.
Yes.
I should not be eating candy while I'm drinking. This is going to be bad. Oh well.
It's the one night a year I get to unleash my fangs.
It is technically it was trick or treating here at the Humble household, but
It's the 29th.
yeah, well it's 29th. That's what my area does
the
trick or treating.
here.
But nobody showed up.
So I get to eat all the candy.
Yeah,
We get a feast tonight.
to be fair, it's a small town. There's not a lot of kids, but I was expecting at least like one.
Yeah, his
group.
roommate went all out too.
Yeah, like we have like all this candy. Like we have got decorations for
Freaking
days.
tombstones in the
There's
yard.
a literal full-size skeleton out there that I'm probably going to dress up in military uniform at some point.
Oh my gosh, you can be a mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ideal.
You
I think
know?
Halloween decorations are for all year round. That's my personal opinion.
Fair enough.
What?
So, welcome to part 3 of episode 1 of HeterochroMEDIA. In this first episode, we've been discussing the war movie Glory with the light novel turned anime 86. And now in part 3, we will compare both of them. Now, neither of these films are directly connected to each other. I found no evidence that Glory inspired 86 in any way, but I think we've all found that there's a lot of similar themes, similar characters, and similar events between the two. Enough that warrants us having an interesting discussion. So before we continue, something I forgot to read about. This is relating right with the movie Glory. There was one of the real life soldiers that was with the 54th Massachusetts was a guy by the name of Eli George Biddle. And Biddle was actually born in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Okay, Pennsylvania line.
Yeah, in 1846. He moved up to Boston in late 1862, and we don't know much about him, but he is listed as a painter when he enlisted in the Army, so he was doing something in the arts. He was going to a school, and one day he found, in February of 63, he found that he could not participate in the mandatory singing of My Country 'Tis of Thee. That he just didn't get the point anymore. That what does this have to do with him and things of that nature? What's the point? So when he refused to, he was basically given an ultimatum. Like, well, if you don't sing, you're going to leave. And Biddle's like, all right. So he walks down the street. The 54th Massachusetts had just started recruiting. Now, I believe that he was aware of the 54th Massachusetts. I don't think he just stumbled across it. But, and it's going to sound weird because I'm plugging the microphone in. I just realized it's on. Yeah, I can keep going though.
Oh, okay.
See,
So audio might be a little different.
It might have just perked up a little bit. But anyways, so Biddle starts walking down the street, enlists in the 54th, and he was actually the 10th man to enlist in the regiment.
Oh, wow.
Regiment. He was one of the first, and that was on February 14th of 1863. He was put into Company A. He participated in the attack on Fort Wagner. He had his gun blown out of his hand from the concussion of all the battle occurring.
Oh, wow.
He was forced to take shelter in the moat, and he had a situation he could not leave the moat because if he started moving, the Confederates would start shooting at him, and when the Confederates started shooting, then the Union lines started returning fire. So he'd be stalking a crossfire, and this went on for hours apparently. And eventually, he's reported as suffering from a nasty wound because of this friendly fire. I believe it was in the shoulder, but I could be mistaken. But he did manage to crawl his way out of the way. We don't know much what the rest of his service was about. I presume that he was with the regiment for most of the rest of the war. He ends up returning to his life as a painter when the war ends. He eventually became an ordained deacon, preaching in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Jersey. Biddle lived all the way into the 20th century, and in fact, in 1938, when FDR called together the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, which was the last major reunion of Civil War veterans. So it wasn't just veterans of Gettysburg, it was just any surviving Civil War veterans. Biddle had the honor of being one of those brought into it.
Wow, okay.
And in fact, Biddle was one of the few soldiers that were honored of being in the ceremonial handshaking over the stone wall at the angle between Confederate and Union veterans.
Huh.
So there's a very famous photo of veterans shaking each other's hands.
And he's in the photo.
He was. I can't pinpoint him in the photo, but he was participating in that event. So he ended up being one of the last living survivors of the 54th Massachusetts, ultimately died on April 8th of 1940.
Jeez.
That was my Gettysburg.
But
comment.
he was close
That
to
wasn't
being
even
he was
that
close to
long
being
ago.
one of the last veterans because the last Civil War veteran died in
54.
54. Because I know my grandpa talks about that sometimes. He was a kid when the last Civil War veteran died.
So I just find it's a little cool side story that tells, at least I can't tell everybody's stories from the 54th Massachusetts, but that was one that I neglected to talk about in the last episode. We just didn't have time for it.
Right. And I remember asking you that question when we were watching the movie. I was like, hey, like, did the 54th ever show up in any of the reunions post-war? So that's really cool.
Yeah, they did. It took a while because they were African Americans. They weren't invited to a lot of the earlier reunions and stuff. It wasn't until many years later, when there was only a few veterans left in general, that they started discriminatory actions started subsiding. So, I guess first of all, the first thing that struck my mind when I was watching '86, it started when Lena was struggling to get the proper reinforcements, the proper supply. She would just keep running to her commanding officer, like, why can I get this stuff to my people? And I messaged Connor, and I'm like, so is Lena going to have a Shaw moment and break into the quartermaster and tell them that I can do whatever I do because I'm a major, you nasty little cuss?
Well, she doesn't do that, but she does, I think, at one point tell her uncle off that basically, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I have to do for my soldiers. But it's interesting because even sitting down and kind of going through the show and the movie again, one of the things that struck me that I didn't think of the first time that we were kind of talking about doing this is that both Lena and Shaw are from very well-to-do families.
Yes.
You know, they definitely both come from this kind of aristocratic kind of background, you know, or at least high society. And both of them kind of have a strained relationship with their men, at least at first. You know, her, because in her situation there was a bit of, you know, I'm sure the previous handlers, as we found out, were not great.
No.
And, you know, Shaw being harsh on his men, at least in the movie, you know, there's a bit of a divide there as well. But
yeah, definitely. So I think one of the first big things to talk about, what I dubbed it, I guess you want to talk, well, not that paper. I got papers all over the place here. One of the first things to talk about is what I've dubbed armchair activism.
ooh, interesting. Continue.
So, as you mentioned, Lena and Shaw are both of privileged upbringings, and although it's not as outright stated in Lena's case, I do get the sense that her family has also been kind of against what is being done to the 86.
Well, her dad, we didn't talk about when we talked about 86, but her dad actually went out to look at the front lines,
Yeah.
like in person, which nobody'd done in years.
Did he
And
bring her with him?
he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they get shot down, and he ends up dying, and she ends up getting rescued by Shin's brother.
Yeah.
But besides the point. But he definitely seems like somebody who didn't like what was going on, but still kind of went along with the status quo. Very much like his brother, Lena's uncle. And I feel like that's probably one of the reasons that her uncle ends up becoming like more jaded later on, is like after his brother dies, he's kind of like, well, if he hadn't cared about the 86, he wouldn't have been out there and he wouldn't have died.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, because that's the whole reason he went out, is he wanted to see like what the conditions were like at the front line, and you know that ended up costing him his life and scarring Lena.
Yeah. Good job. Good job. So both of them, when they initially take command, they go about it the wrong way.
Yes.
Where they think they're doing the right thing, and that they think they're helping the people they're in charge of. And well, both the 86 and the 54th Massachusetts, both soldiers who make up these units are less than, they're in less than ideal conditions.
Right.
At least how the movie depicts the glory again. But there's
Right. Yeah. But well, I lost my train of thought. Keep going. Sorry.
So you have this where the first couple episodes of 86 and the first third of Glory is really just the commanders thinking they're doing the right thing, and why are people questioning them?
Yeah.
You're like, don't you see I'm trying to help you? Things of that nature.
Well, I think that's where Shin almost comes in as like a Forbes character in, 86, is that he's kind of bridging the gap between Lena and what she thinks she's doing and the rest of the 86, kind of like Forbes is bridging the gap between Shaw and some of the men that are under his control. And they have like this nice relationship of being like, hey, you kind of come across this way, maybe kind of change the way you're doing things. which Lena definitely takes to heart a lot more than Shaw does. Shaw definitely takes a lot longer.
It takes a lot. Well, to be fair, I think both of them have eventually their "what have I done" moment. Which with Shaw, it's when he orders the flogging of Trip, but with Lena is after. There's so many battles in '86. I don't even know if the battles have names. It's an endless war.
They're just dates.
I think it's the battle that kills Kay, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I know that there was one day where they lost like 4 people.
I think she was among them.
Yeah, because she was a fairly major secondary character.
Yeah, so it was episode 3 or 4 she's killed in.
Anyway, August.
There's a lot in August. August was a bad month for the 86.
Yeah, but Theo loses his cool on Lena. And although he shouldn't have gone that brutal on her, maybe she did need to hear it.
Yeah.
He had a point.
Yeah,
he had some good points. Absolutely. And to Lena's credit, once that kind of happened to her, she kind of took a step back, re-examined, and was like, no, he's right. Like, you know.
Yeah, no. And then going forward, they both take more proactive measures. I mean, you see Shaw going forward he starts opening communications directly with soldiers like Rollins. Rollins eventually is promoted to Sergeant Major because he's willing to help Shaw out, understand the men's problems. And then, of course, we get the glorious scene when Shaw goes into the quartermaster's office and just run roughshod.
He's just knocking shit off the shelves, being like, you're going to give me what I came here for.
Which Lena never directly does to any of the officers. She definitely puts the fear of God into them in later episodes of her commanding officials. The closest I can compare the nasty little cuss scene to would be when after Lena and Annette have had their falling out, when Lena's just basically like, I am going to get these people out of this. I'm going to let them at least get through the blockade of the Legion, and you're going to help me. And that's when she starts opening up to Annette, like, I know who your neighbor was. I know,
and he's going to die if you don't help me.
Yeah, and you can't do it. Well, it's like, can't I?
Don't you feel bad about that? Well, you can change that now.
Yeah, and. Well, also, then she kind of goes way above her rank and activates these howitzers that haven't been used in years to give them fire support at a critical moment.
Yeah.
Which she ends up doing again later during the battle against the Railgun as well.
Yeah, so that's one of the best when they definitely start off with, oh yeah, I'm doing the right thing because I say I'm doing the right thing. It's like, yeah, you have to do more than that.
Right. Yeah.
The next one I was going to say is you have the acts of solidarity. Definitely between Shaw and Lena. Shaw, when he realizes that his men aren't going to be paid.
Yeah, he's like, if you guys aren't getting paid, I'm not going to be paid either.
Yeah, which is actually a historical act of solidarity.
Right.
And then in the movie, Lena, after the Spearhead Squadron, they're out of radio contact. In her mind, they're dead. And she has to carry on their legacy. That's when she starts dyeing her hair red, starts wearing black coats to work, and things of that nature. Takes up the moniker of Bloody Regina.
Yeah. And well, she also starts forming I don't think we talked about this either, but she starts forming a group of officers around her too that have similar feelings. Which leads me to believe that if things hadn't changed with the Confederacy getting involved and everything else, do you think that she would have actually led like a military coup?
She
it feels like
I don't think it would have been successful.
I don't think so either, but it feels like the groundwork for a situation like that was starting to get put in place.
She's so like strong-willed, it had to like gone on something like that.
I also wrote fighting corruption, which we've kind of already basically talked about.
Yeah.
Things are making noises. There's a lot of you're looking at a higher rank. A lot of people having to remind who you're talking to, things and that.
Yeah.
Both movies. Mine is the obvious. I'm a colonel, you nasty little cuss. We do have Rollins later on when the 54th and the 10th Connecticut get into a little bit of a fight.
Oh yeah, he pulls rank on the 10th Connecticut guys.
Yeah, you're looking at our higher rank corporal.
Yeah, the 10th Connecticut does not like that.
Because you're looking at God.
Yeah. Hey, if Morgan Freeman tells you to shut up and sit down, you shut up and you sit down.
Yeah.
Like, that's really...
Yeah. But also Lena several times reminds her higher-ups later on. I can't remember what episode. I forget what point where... And I think it was after she was even demoted. But she does, like, you do realize what rank I'm in, right? Like, just because I'm a captain, that still means I have a lot of pull still.
Yeah. And
I can do whatever I freaking want. You have nothing in your power. You can report me, but it's going to take some time. So yeah, Lena loves having people. She loves reminding people what her rank is.
Yeah,
She's a queen. We love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, great character. Yeah, absolutely.
Another one I wrote here: underestimating your enemy.
Yeah, so you have this thing. Hubris is a bitch, let me tell you. But the fact that the Republic is basically like, oh yeah, that's like super powerful AI that wiped out our most powerful neighbor. Yeah, it definitely can't figure out how to build a factory. We're definitely going to kill all these Legion. Like, you know, their batteries are going to run out. We're going to kill them all off, whatever. Like, talk about like a surprise Pikachu face when like...
Oh my god, and they just fucking spawn everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like, oh no, wait, we're actually like super outgunned all of a sudden.
There's like a few hundred out here.
Wait, only 40% of our howitzers are working? Ugh. Which of course leads to the great moments of the Battle of Berlin. But, which I guess that's another kind of similarity between 86 and Glory, is that there are multiple points where the soldiers and the units are kind of struggling with why they're fighting. Because especially when we get into that kind of Berlin battle arc where the 86 that are defending the capital, I believe they even question at one point, like, why are we doing this?
Oh yeah, they do.
Wait,
like,
do the higher ups in 86 know about like the AI having like the people?
I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
Or is that just like
the only reason that anybody in the Republic knows that is because of Shin's connection to the bloodline from...
They don't really know what's going on.
No. And I don't think that Lena ever tells them either. Like, she tells them about the fact that like, Legion's still...
At least the anime, the light novel could be different.
I mean, you've read the light novel, have you? Or...
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah, I haven't read too much forward from the show, but I've read a bit more just to see where things are developing. But, well, you have to remember early on, Lena goes up to Ned's like, so if like a para-raid wasn't functioning with one of the 86, what would we do? And Ned, in a way to try to tell her, don't touch this question, basically like, well, we would have to kill them and dissect their body and things like that. So, no, I don't think they have any knowledge what's really happening with the Legion.
And that's kind of the scary thing about the Legion, because even by the end of the show, we really don't have an understanding of why the Legion's doing what it's doing.
They're a mystery still.
We don't know why it rebelled initially. We have this vague theory that there's some kind of, like, central part of the AI that's in charge of everything. There's some kind of personality. My money's on either some kind of scientist or perhaps the old emperor or king of Giad or whatever, that he's still in there somewhere. But
he's one with the machine.
He's one with the machine. He's the ghost of the machine.
Yeah. Whole other story. But back to the underestimate your enemy. What I was also thinking about is when the strike package, former Spearhead Squadron, they go and fight the Morpho, which is the big railgun.
Oh yeah, the railgun thinks he's got them licked.
Oh yeah,
because he's got like all those butterfly drones. He's got all this.
Well, I was thinking before when they go and attack it, and they
in the city.
Yeah. They go in and they think we got it handled, we've neutralized it, we've bombarded it, and things like that. And then you realize it's a decoy.
Yep.
And the actual Morpho sitting on this hillside, and they're in perfect range and wipes out. I think it was like 20,000 soldiers. A lot of the death rate is ridiculous in 86.
Yeah,
when you hear it offhand, it was something like 20 to 40,000 soldiers are killed.
Yeah,
they're just, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But what I was comparing it to is when you go to Fort Wagner and the Union armies are in the perspective. We've shelled this for days. All you got to do is charge the ramparts. It'll be fine once you get in the fort. And only 8 Confederates have been killed.
Yeah, isn't it funny how history tends to, maybe not necessarily repeat itself, but it tends to be a good indicator of what happens later?
Oh, yeah.
Because how many times during World War I do we see, we've shown them for 4 days, there's not going to be anything left. And then you charge over the top, and all of a sudden the machine guns get pulled back out of the bunkers, and it's just death. Yeah.
Death. Nothing but death.
Nothing but death.
Nothing but death. But you were talking a bit about, people questioning why do we fight this war? Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, Trip has that moment that's his character.
He's probably out of the two pieces of media. He's definitely the one who vocalizes it the best. Of like, I'm not fighting this war for you. I'm fighting this for myself. Which I feel like Spearhead Squadron, especially like Shin,
they definitely take it in a more positive light, and Trip takes it in a much more negative light.
Yes. Because Shin's whole point is, I'm fighting for everybody I've lost along the way. To keep their memories alive, to give them rest, take them where they need to go. And Trip's definitely the point that, like, this is a country that really doesn't care about me, and nobody's ever cared about me my entire life. Like, So why am I fighting for you guys? I guess because it's just the only thing I have to do now. And of course he ends up coming around right before the end of the movie, at least a little bit. But leading the charge up the ramparts after Shaw gets shot.
Good nighted.
Yeah,
that's what I like to say. When the PG way of being killed, you're good nighted. Yeah. All right. So what else can we discuss about? Anything else before we go to my next page about 86 Glory, things that jump out? Dead air.
I'm like trying to think.
Dead air. Dead air. All right. Let me go to the TV tropes page. So what we're gonna do before every time we do an episode, we're gonna go down through TV tropes. So I skimmed through all of Glory's TV tropes, which I was even surprised to find it was on TV tropes. Because I have a feeling that the people that create TV tropes are not the age bracket that would have watched this film.
Yeah.
So I skimmed all for Glory's TV tropes and all for 86 TV tropes to see if anything aligned, if they share TV tropes.
That's clever.
I actually found less than I was expecting. So, starting off, armor-piercing slap. In Glory, Rollins slaps Trip to knock some sense into him. And then in 86, maybe, I don't fully remember this one. Ray's guilty conscience slaps Shin as a young Lena. Like, Shin's brother, I guess, when Shin...
Yeah. That's in, like, his flashback after the fight with his brother, like, when he kills his brother. Which I know we touched very briefly on in the first episode, but Shin's brother got absorbed into the Legion, and his brother... Back when they were kids, his parents both died in the 86 Corps fighting Legion. And his brother blamed Shin for their deaths out of anger and almost kills Shin. Like almost strangles him.
Oh, yeah.
Strangles to the point that Shin actually has a permanent scar on his neck.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And up to that point, Shin had always looked up to his brother. He loved his brother to death. And
he still does.
But his brother ended up, of course, ending up in the 86, ended up dying. Or not dying, but he ended up getting captured by the Legion, absorbed into their conscience. And so there was a moment where, Shin and his brother come face to face. Shin kills him, finally giving him rest. And as usually happens when Shin kills a major enemy, he has like this weird flashback, almost like Evangelion last couple episodes, where he goes to the white void and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He kind of like digests what happened a little bit. But yeah, I don't really remember the slap, though. I'm going to level with you.
No, me
neither.
neither.
I honestly thought the slap was Lena and her friend.
Oh, yeah, she slaps...
One of them slaps the other.
Somebody slaps somebody.
Yeah, someone in that relationship slaps.
They shared the trope. That's what matters. So the next one we have is the Bolivian army ending.
Oh, where everybody dies.
Yeah, where everybody dies. It's based off of Butch Cassidy's
you get
kids.
Twice in 86.
Yeah, so here's what we get. So Glory does it straight where... Everyone dies at the end, brutally. They all, if you didn't get killed going up the ramparts like Shaw and Trip, well, don't worry, there's a round of cannons waiting to throw grape shot at you.
Yeah, at Glory, it's very much every character you fought throughout this film is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Mulcahy, though. He stayed back in Boston.
Oh, yeah. But everybody who was in the field, dead. You see Shaw get brutally shot. You see Thomas get killed as well. Prior to that,
no. So Thomas is still.
Who was it that got killed? Not Thomas.
Trips when he grabs the flag.
Yeah, Trip dies when he grabs the flag.
Yeah, Thomas gets bayoneted again. Yeah, he ain't having a good couple days, and I don't remember seeing him in the final charge, but I have a press photo. I actually have the photo of all of the main casts on. Shaw and Trip, where they're standing on top of the rampart looking down at the cannons, the last thing they get pelted. I actually have it in my bedroom because it's such a cool shot, like the final moments. Anyways, he's in the press photo, but I don't remember seeing him in the final photo. So he must have been there, or he's hard to see. Anyways, so yeah, they Bolivian army ending for real. But in 86, it's subverted. Not once.
Twice.
But twice.
Yeah, so the first time, of course, at the end of their long walk into the Legion territory, where all their mechs get taken out. Everybody's down to their rifles at this point, which we're told throughout the series are next to useless against the Legion. Shin's got the last functional mech. He's like going ham, trying to not die. And then of course we get the fade to black. We think
we don't see what happens.
We don't see what happens. But we're just assuming everybody gets
Suddenly
killed.
we wake up in a freaking hospital.
Yep. I had a nickel for every time somebody in the anime woke up in a hospital.
Yeah.
And it made me get flashbacks.
Yeah.
Next episode. Leave it. Save for the next episode.
I don't want to.
But then in the fight against the railgun that's being controlled by Kiri.
I had a fish named Kiri, fun fact. Not after this character, after a different character.
Yeah, I've ate the fish was around before the book was written.
Yeah, but when did you get the fish?
2020.
2020, yeah. It was before she watched 86.
Well, before the anime, I think the light novel was out.
He died beginning of this year.
Oh. He lived a long time.
Like, literally a month after my dog, so that was like really bad.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
It was a rough buddy.
Okay.
But, never mind. Bye.
No, you're good. But then we get the second Bolivian army ending where as they're going to fight the railgun, like, slowly people are dropping off the group for a main 586. The white-haired chick whose name's escaping me. Anju.
She's purple hair.
There's like a lance.
Whitish purplish.
Well, because she's half Alban.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a plot point.
She has a tragic backstory.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay. I'll save it then.
Yeah.
But she's like the first one that drops off, and then the rest of them kind of drop off. Either the path gets blocked and they can't keep going with the rest of the group, or they purposely stay behind to try to buy the rest of the group time to get to the railgun. And of course, by the time that they get there, Shin and Frederica and Fido are the only ones left. And through the combined efforts of Shin and Frederica, they're able to take out the railgun. We assume everybody else is dead, and of course, Shin point blank fires into the railgun, and then there's an explosion. And he gets yeeted off.
He definitely was concussed.
Shin has that anime protagonist thing of like literally suicidal missions, but lives.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens multiple times.
Literally.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead multiple times. I'm like.
Yeah. No, there were a few moments. I was
honestly, I was surprised all 5 of them made it to the end.
Yeah, I was surprised too, especially the
first Bolivian end I knew was going to be.
It was too early in the
series. Yeah, exactly.
The second one, I'm like, are they going to wipe?
I'm like,
I don't think they're all going to get killed, but I was under the impression at least one of the 5 are getting killed.
I thought if they were going to kill one of them, it was going to be the older brother guy in the unit.
I bet it'd be him or Anju because she's kind of like the mediator between everyone.
Yeah, because he took all that shrapnel protecting Frederica.
Yeah, I thought Raiden was going.
I thought that he was gonna like bleed out in the time that the battle was gonna happen, and then he died saving Frederica, and that was gonna give her trauma for later.
More trauma for Frederica.
Yeah,
yeah. That's what that poor girl needs, more trauma.
Yeah. She's like 10 lifetimes in that time.
Yeah. So that's that one. So this one's weird. This one's called "Shown Their Work." This has less to do with the actual plots and more with their production. Basically shown that these people know what they're doing, making this.
Yeah, it was that was the thing with 86 is it was a very believable military structure.
Oh yeah,
and it was actually a show that took some time to talk about logistics, which is a major part of military planning that doesn't get enough spotlight, unfortunately.
I mean, honestly, out of all the military anime I've seen, this one makes the most sense.
Yeah,
yeah.
No,
you're right in saying that. I agree.
Something like Attack on Titan, which has a lot of military stuff. It's very different, but like some of the stuff they come up with.
That's one thing with that. Not to tangent Attack on Titan.
Go ahead.
But like, how many? Like, it feels like any time that they need something for the plot, it just shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how many times does the frickin' Survey Corps get wiped out, and all of a sudden they got new people like as needed?
Hey, we came for the thing.
Yeah, like and. Attack on Titan's a great anime, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely
maybe that'll
parts...
be another episode in the future.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, see if we can find a good piece of media to compare it to.
Yeah, there's time. But no, I would agree with that, even as somebody who's definitely into military geared shows and stuff like that, I can take the most driest of material and find it fascinating. Mm-hmm. No, this one definitely is a cut above the rest.
Plus, I like that it humanized the characters so much.
Yeah. Which also...
Well, that's important for any plot to make you like something.
Exactly.
Enjoy something. Well, humanize your characters.
I cared about the character. I cared if they lived or died.
Talking about adjacent to logistics, there's a character we haven't talked about yet who I feel like deserves a shout out. Is the head mechanic for Spearhead Squadron?
Oh yeah, he was Albion.
Yeah, he was Albin. And he's really interesting character because he's kind of almost like the Grippa of the group. Like, he's been around prior to Spearhead Squadron. He's been like the mechanic at this base for these suicide squads
Like a
for
few
a while.
decades. Yeah.
But we find out over the course of the show, and he really treats the main characters well. Like, he likes all the kids that are in Spearhead Squadron. But prior to the Legion Rising, his wife and I believe daughter were 86. So when the war started, he was able to go into this mechanic's role, but his wife and daughter were not, and they died over the course of the war in the 86. So he is an interesting character in that, unlike Lana. Lena. Whatever. Lena.
Call her Vlad.
Bloody Regina.
Yeah, just call her that. That'll be better.
But unlike Bloody Regina, who, like, her dad died during the war, but, you know, her concept, at least starting out about the 86, is kind of different. Like, he's been on the front lines for years.
He's seen so many people come
He's
and
seen
go.
so many people come and go.
Yeah.
And great character. I just felt like we need to give him a shout.
Yeah, he's Mulcahy, but without the racism.
Mhm.
And without the shouting.
Shout out whoever your name, whatever your name
Yeah,
is.
whatever, I can't remember.
Yeah, shout out.
Mechanic guy.
That mechanic.
Mechanic guy was great. Yeah, I love the mechanic
Loved
guy.
him.
So, what's interesting, 86 for Shin, the Shin's pistol that he carries is actually based off of a Swiss, what was it? A SIG, S-I-G.
Yeah. Yes, Sig.
Yeah, it was based off a SIG P226.
Oh, 226.
Yeah. Which was, it was Swiss made and used in France, which is a little bit interesting considering one of the countries that are in the 86 world, walled, manufactured in universe, the pistol Shin's carrying. So that's interesting that you have somebody in the Republic carrying a walled manufactured pistol.
Yeah, there you go. There are plenty available
Yeah.
on Gunbroker.
So that's the one that he uses to take them all out.
Well, would you look at that?
Well, so
The Mercy Kill.
it's amazing how anime, because Japan doesn't really have a big gun culture, but anime people in general tend to take
But
the
it's
time and effort.
creators behind
Yes.
anime? Oh, different story.
Yes. Well, I was about to say, because there's a very famous, of course, you've probably seen Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
But the handgun for Cowboy Bebop is a Jericho, which is an Israeli made pistol.
Cowboy Bebop and Firefly. That'd be a good comparison.
yeah.
I've
I
never
think that
watched
one's been
Firefly,
done,
though.
though, so
Probably.
keep in mind.
Well,
Yeah, we got fresh perspective.
I mean, Firefly is ripped off, basically ripped off Bebop, but we won't talk about that.
R.I.P. But whatever. Bebop's better. Controversy. Ew.
No, it's not. It just isn't. Anyways,
I mean, I've
you were
heard that.
talking about the Jericho. You were talking about that.
I was just saying, but the Jericho is another like real world handgun that's inspired anime. Of course, any of the anime that particularly cater to historical nerds tend to have pretty good military equipment backgrounds. Obviously, Girls in Panzer comes to mind. They like all the tanks, of course, based on real tanks.
You subscribe to Humble Collector, give him the 1,000 subscribers. You get a reaction to that.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's the 1,000 subscriber special for me. I talk about doing Girls in Panzer is we're gonna watch it.
Spread the word.
We're gonna
hell
discuss
yeah. That sounds great.
because
Spread the
it's a
word.
fun show. It's lighthearted, which is nice.
Much more lighthearted than what I subject you to.
Glory had its moments that were vaguely lighthearted before everybody died, you know. So
And then in Glory, with showing its work, I mean, we can talk all day about
there's so much.
the inaccuracies and stuff, but for the most part, they definitely cared about what they were telling. So much so that they casted a actor who was the same age as Shaw. Broderick
Right.
was 25,
And again,
close enough. Shaw was basically the same age.
well, and again, put both their photos up on screen.
Oh yeah, it's
Shaw and Broderick they could be twins. They look very similar. But you know, throughout the movie, like uniforms, equipment, tactics, as we've talked about, we gushed about the Battle of Fort Wagner multiple times.
Second battle, to be technical.
Yes, sorry, technically second Battle of Fort Wagner.
So you know how the first one went too.
Yeah, but like all the fight scenes in that movie felt period appropriate. They felt real, you know. So the team definitely did their work. I can't speak too much to the uniforms and equipment. That's more your
It's
expertise.
pretty much on par.
Okay.
Especially at the 54th, there's not much. I would say that was. I mean, I'm sure there's some nitty gritty stuff that I'm not paying attention to, but in the general sense, looks fine to me.
Yeah.
Looks fine to me.
Not Farby.
No,
No.
they're good. 54's good in my eyes.
Side note, I introduced that term to my work, by the way. I referred to one of my suppliers as Farby, and nobody knew what that meant.
In real life.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
So, would you like to explain Farb?
Farb is basically a derogatory term we use in the reenacting community for anybody who is not historically accurate.
So fake garb.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah. So,
but to be fair, it's not necessary. I don't use Farby to hit people who are uninformed about something, because it's one thing. It's like we're here to learn. Here's the resources. I'm learning. I'm not saying that I'm an expert in this stuff, but you have people who you present them the information, and instead of like, oh, thank you for seeing that, I'm now going to adapt. They're like, nope, I'm just going to keep doing it this way.
Yep.
Because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And then that's when the best example of a Farb is when everybody's wearing nothing but red on artillery crews. They love their red on artillery crews. Well, they want these red shirts. It's like they weren't wearing all red. not at Gettysburg. They're an easy target. You idiots! Farb.
Good stuff.
Farb. Zouaves are also a harbinger of Farbdom.
I love that you use that in work.
Oh, I use all kinds of...
Because everybody wants to have the flashy uniform, but don't have the context. So I don't have an issue if somebody portraying a Zouave, but don't go into a battle and everybody's portraying Zouave. It's like there's other units beyond Zouave.
Yeah. No, my work is a fascinating place. Like, my desk is just full of random historical artifacts related to my job. And I recently bought another copy of the book that I have, like, my little reference in, and now that's at my desk. So
looping back, this isn't actually a TV trope, but it should be, because these two characters with a certain situation are going to correlate very well. You were talking about Anju earlier. There's one big character thing with Anju that correlates with Trip.
Which one is Anju again?
The purple-haired baker chick.
Oh, yeah, her. With her Trip.
Snow Witch. I was going to like, well, Snow Witch.
They face prejudice because of their race?
Well, they've both been severely lashed before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The shower scene.
Grew her hair out
to cover the scars. Yeah, that's right. I completely forgot about that scene.
Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't pop up on the tropes, because I'm like, that is a direct...
And he noticed.
Yeah, he did notice before he died.
R.I.P. Daya Irma.
Died in August of...
Yeah. And apparently doing some reading, I don't think they showed in the English dub of the show, but in the Japanese dub, it's not just that she's scarred and stuff. Somebody literally etched in like 86 horror on her back.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I knew it was writing. I just don't think they.
I don't think they talk about that in the show. Like they just like, you get the point. So yeah, it's bad. Yeah, she was very badly mistreated because of her mixed race. So that I don't know. That was just something that came to my mind. And then the one final one I want everybody to read this at the top of their lungs. The thing that both Glory and 86 share.
War is hell.
War is hell.
No, I can get behind that one.
I mean, yeah, that's...
Emphasis on... Do you like, too, how between next one I just wrote...
Duh.
Yeah.
So.
It's
bad for everyone.
It's bad for everybody. It's not a good time.
Don't do war, guys.
Yeah, really.
It never ends well.
War, eat donuts.
Exactly.
I get behind that shirt. No, well, I think... Which one do we want to tackle with that topic first, Glory 86? Because we could say volumes about either. But
I didn't realize we were
Honestly,
tackling. I just wrote duh for that reason. I'm like, duh.
Where people who are mistreated are still fighting for a cause that they don't...
Yeah.
The thing that's mistreating them.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
both media portrays groups of people that are mistreated fighting for the people that are mistreating them.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, war is hell.
Yeah, war
War
is hell.
sucks.
War will do things.
Well, and I feel like 86, because it's more sci-fi, has more realm to tread in than the whole war is hell thing.
And I think, to be honest, if 86 does have any real-world correlations, it's definitely with the Second World War more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
definitely.
I don't think it's no secret that the Son Mongolian Republic is, based. It takes inspirations from fascist regimes and things of that nature, nationalism and things of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of themes in there from that, for sure.
There are a lot of themes.
Yeah, there are themes. I mean, we keep referring to the Battle of the capital of San Magnolia as the Battle of Berlin, which it basically is. Yeah. Which, again, it's interesting that San Magnolia is forced to rely on the 86 to defend the capital as the war dies. And, of course, you've done your construction paper battlefield on the Battle of Berlin. But one of the units everybody talks about in Battle Berlin is SS Charlemagne, which is made up of French SS members. There's something. What's crazy, the force that was defending Berlin at the end of the war, I think there's like 12 different countries, like nationalities that were involved in the defense of Berlin. Basically, everybody who had nowhere else to go or just had the misfortune of getting cut off in the Berlin pocket.
Or as our great hero Victor Reznov once said, the old, the weak, the young.
Yeah. Good old Reznov.
Good old Reznov.
Are we going to talk about World of War at some point?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm more willing to branches. I'm not. Will primarily be the main idea of the podcast is to do these episodes related series, but I'm down for any one-off reviews and game nights and things like that. So yeah, this doesn't have to be isolated to all of this.
Well, we're a group of nerds, so
we are.
Yeah, that's true.
We are a group of nerds of varying degree. Yes.
Yeah.
Before we depart from Glory in '86, I want to go through. We talked about favorite characters in the previous two parts, but for this one, I want to talk about like favorite moments, favorite scenes. So, starting with Jess, with '86, what would be one of your? Obviously, it doesn't be the single best.
I have like two scenes that come to mind. The first one is Lena going to where the '86 were and like finding all these like relics of the people that she knew, but she thinks they're dead. Mm-hmm. Like that had like a lot of sentimental value. And then Fido's like little flashback, like with all these kids, that hurt. That hurt so bad. And then also Christmas in the New Republic or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't think they call it Christmas, but we know it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Oh, and no, it's Festival of the Holy Birth. That's what duh. It's Christmas.
It was fun seeing them like in the normal world, but they were really uncomfortable.
See, Christmas is so important that '86 ripped from the real world to have Christmas evolve. In Glory, defied all logic and moved their timeline forward.
Christmas here. That's another weird parallel. Both of them have like Christmas moments. Yeah,
and not just one symbol throwing.
It's like a central part of that section of the plot.
As someone who's dabbled in nerd culture for a long time, fan fiction, they always have a Christmas chapter too. That's a correlation.
That's correlation, yeah.
Like every good one I've read has a Christmas chapter, for no reason, other than it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So, Connor, which one do you want to start with favorite moments? You have two to deal with.
Yeah. So with '86, I'd have to agree with Jess. The Fido scene, the flashbacks. That is such a gut punch after everything they've been through.
Because you see them being like normal kids.
Yeah, and
oh my god.
Masterful scene. Probably, I haven't watched nearly as much anime as Jess has, but I've watched, I think, over 30 series in the past year. Something like 1,100 episodes or whatever. Definitely a gut punch anime moment that I'm just going to stick with me for years.
Top 10 scenes that have reinvented the chemical balances of my brain.
Yeah. That's the way of putting it, for sure. Probably, another great scene, I think, is definitely just the lead up to the Fade to Black at the Battle of Berlin, where Lena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god! Yes!
But Lena is talking to like the last 86 that are defending the bridge into the city, and they kind of have this like heart-to-heart moment before the bridge blows. That's really striking to me. Yeah, I just think it's a cool scene. But I'm a sucker for like a good last stand, backs to the wall, like, we're dead no matter what, so we're gonna hold out as long as we can.
Also, could I bring up the memorial to the '86?
Oh yeah.
That is another one. And then Lena and Shin both having like their things that they place in it.
Yes,
that's another honorable mention.
Yeah, that gives both of them some closure. That like, this chapter of their journeys ended. Like they've carried the memory of these people in this place.
Yeah,
great
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And then with Glory.
Well, you don't want to talk about your favorite scenes?
Or I will, but not with Glory.
So with Glory, that entire charge, second battle of Fort Wagner is stunning. It's essentially a proto World War I battle is what it is, and it shows. It's really striking. So I really liked that scene. Trying to think. As far as the other scenes go, I think that the firing of the town of Darien is a really powerful scene because you can tell Shaw's inner turmoil, but he has to give the order, so he's giving the order. And you can see that his men aren't necessarily happy with it, but they're willing to follow him and take his lead on it. It's a powerful scene, for sure. And you didn't see Glory, so from what we've talked about, was there anything that stood out, I guess?
What you're excited to see if you do watch it sometime.
I like the scene of Homie going into
the quartermaster's office.
And just be like,
classic.
bah,
I was about to
bah,
say,
bah.
so when it comes to my favorite scenes, when Shaw goes in there and just tears up the quartermaster's office and tells the quartermaster, can't I? I'm a colonel, you nasty little cuss. Puts that quartermaster in his place. I mean, It's completely fictitious, but it's completely entertaining also. And
It could happen in real life.
I'm sure some colonel has gone into a quartermaster office before and has lost his cool because a lot of bullshittery is happening and not supplying his troops with what they need. So that mostly for the entertainment value, and then probably the other big moment for me has to be the confrontation that Rollins has with Trip. Finally has Trip come to his senses.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll make a long story short, tells Trip, I'm sorry that you had a sucky life. We've all had a sucky life. That doesn't
get over it.
That doesn't give you an excuse to
Suck it up, buttercup.
make everybody else's life miserable.
Yeah.
You still have time to fix things up. You have a chance to be proactive now in the world. Take advantage of it. And it takes a while for him to actually be proactive after that, but he does definitely mellow out after that moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I mean, the other scenes everybody else has mentioned thus far of Glory. I mean, that battle, the end battle sequence. As much as I don't want to glorify a war scene, but as from a visual standpoint, just look at the cover over there with the reds and the blues, like on the DVD cover, with the reds and blues shown. Like it is one of the most. It's a visual feast. The ending. Well, and it also has one of my all-time favorite. Well, I forgot to mention all the time. Glory has probably one of, if not my favorite soundtrack. Period.
Oh, really?
It's great.
James
It's
Horner.
an excellent
James
soundtrack,
Horner is probably most famous for doing the soundtrack for Titanic. Did the Glory soundtrack?
Oh.
It is his best in my eyes. And the music for the charge on Fort Wagner and then the end credits are just some of the most bombastic and also haunting music you will hear.
Yeah,
and it definitely helped. It definitely helped the movie get with a larger stream and a larger audience than most these war films could. Now with 86,
there's so many good scenes.
There's so many scenes. I definitely will back up that the scene with the several scenes that we have with the monument. That definitely, as I said earlier, with my exposure to commemorating these battlefields here in the United States, it definitely brings it home, like what it takes to what goes into those monuments, what they truly mean.
So, question I have for you, because you know a bit more of the reunions and stuff that happened at like Gettysburg, for example. Was there ever, did units ever put up lists of names of people that were killed during those battles, or was that more of a unspoken kind of thing, I guess?
Normally, what they did, they would. Mostly because, the more text you put on those monuments, the more money you pay.
Yeah.
It's a money thing than anything else. Right. Most of them just list based off of the official war reports, what the deceased were. So most of them at Gettysburg just had the deceased. That being said, there are several, the Pennsylvania State Memorial, which is the largest memorial at Gettysburg, the big dome one.
Yeah.
That one has all the names.
Well, but I mean, I guess...
But that's actually all service. I think it's all servicemen. It's not just killed.
Oh, it's like all the Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I actually have a relative on that one.
Okay. No, I guess more to my question, I guess, when they had the veterans events at Gettysburg, was there ever... did veterans that came back, did they ever put up signs for these were our comrades that fought?
I don't think they ever put up signs of all the names from all those killed.
Yeah.
But they definitely would have because they would have annual meetings there and stuff. They definitely would tell stories and things of that. They would try to keep promoting the history. They would definitely tell personal stories. And I mean, even today when you go to the battlefields, the Park Service has done a wonderful job. I'm putting a lot of newer waysides up. So some of the waysides I've seen the past couple of years, I don't remember them, and they definitely are more personal stories. So you're definitely seeing that today. You're never going to be able to tell all the story. It's just impossible.
Right. The information either doesn't exist or there's just too much of it. No, I think that's interesting to talk about because military history in particular has taken a swing the past few decades from the regimental or division level histories to being focused a lot more on the personal individual soldiers, which I think is a good shift.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a lot more approachable from people that aren't military historians like
It
ourselves.
humanizes it.
Yeah.
Because you learn about these things just being like big wars. You don't really hear about the individuals.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, I feel like a memoir from a guy that was there is a lot more approachable than the books that we read. They're like, oh, this is the war diary of X regiment or X division, and this is the stuff that we did during the war.
And that's why both, I think, Glory and 86 succeed. They take a genre, one takes a real life story, the other takes a common genre in anime that can be a little bit hard to get into, both of them, and definitely humanizes it. It makes it much more easily accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely with humanizing the characters, and definitely gives more of a bite-sized approach to a grander story. And then you realize you go through these tales like with Glory, you're only going through a story of one regiment, and then you realize how many people actually fought and died in this war. The American Civil War claimed anywhere from 600,000 to 800,000 Americans, and it's still undecided what the exact number of that was.
Right.
And how many weren't recorded and things of that nature. And with 86, you definitely get the idea that, we're learning just about Spearhead Squadron, but how many people came before them. And then we're starting to get into the larger world now at the end of Season 1, at the end of Core 2. You definitely realize there's a lot more in this world.
Well, and that base gets wiped off the map and kills, 20,000?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like a ridiculous number. It's like when they tell you that's like, what?
Yeah, no, we're definitely like a World War level conflict for sure.
So, and then probably because I didn't really say what was like my single with 86 because like I said, I like the monument commemoration. I'm trying to think of one that we haven't mentioned thus far. Well, obviously the ending. Everybody loves the ending.
When everybody finally meets up.
Good. Good stuff right there.
Yeah, it is.
That's some oddly wholesome stuff in my mecha anime.
So 23 episodes for your two leads to actually meet up.
Yeah.
23 episodes.
And it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth every minute.
It's worth it. Yeah. So I think we're going to leave it off of that. So we have concluded discussing Glory in 86. And I hope for the military or just the plain old historians that were tuning in from Readout Productions or from Humble Collector are now curious that why would a historian be talking about something where a bunch of teenagers ride in mechas into battle. So maybe you now want to check out 86 and maybe you will enjoy it. I hope you do. And for those that enjoyed 86 and are looking for something slightly different and maybe has a bit more entrenchment in the real world, hopefully you'll be interested now in checking out the movie Glory. Both, I personally believe both of them are worth the watch.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly echo that.
One only takes you 2 hours in an evening to watch, while the other is going to take you a couple, at least 23 episodes. But results may vary in terms of how much you can invest your time for these. So I'm sure most people will go for Glory over 86 for time management, but be sure to check both out. So that is the end of episode 1 of HeterochroMEDIA. So what is for the future of HeterochroMEDIA? Well, episode 2 we are planning will be a dive into 2 very, very depressing
but oh so good
pieces of media.
I'm gonna need more rum.
We're getting a lot more rum, and we're gonna need a lot more time for this one, actually, because I don't know how many parts it'll be. So,
yeah, that's
dude, just talking about. Let me go grab it because I've been eyeing this up.
Oh yeah, the towel.
Oh, the narrative.
I saw the towel the whole time.
That was a gift, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I need that.
The Evangelion nerve towel.
The Evangelion nerd. So for obviously we're talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion next time. That is absolutely
which is not just a show to lifestyle, and I'm living that lifestyle.
We're gonna need 3 episodes to just talk about the series. We're gonna need 2 episodes to talk about End of Evangelion.
Yeah, literally, End of Evangelion has so much.
And we're not even gonna touch the rebuilds this time. That's
no, the rebuilds.
Separate. Yeah.
So next episode of HeterochroMEDIA, we will be talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, the original television series, and the theatrical ending from 1997. The rebuild films we will be saving for a later time. We want to save the Evangelion for other time. Gotta let it age like fine wine. But what will we be comparing it to? Jess, would you like to tell us? Since even though I'm the one who came up with it.
The Wall by Pink Floyd.
That's right, because we are talking about media that deals with the artist behind it suffering from intense depression and frustration with the outside world and how they express it,
Oh boy, howdy! I'm sure we all have experience with that.
leading to very interesting and also sometimes horrifying results in their media. So we will be comparing Neon Genesis Evangelion to Pink Floyd's The Wall, and it is going to be an experience. Now, yeah.
Question: does the album The Wall sync up with Evangelion?
We will hold that for when we get there.
Okay.
You will know someday.
Yeah, you mean like literal sync up, like if I start playing...
Well, it's kind of like...
It's like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz, and what's the album?
Like I said, you will learn.
I think it's another Pink Floyd album.
Dark Side.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark
Okay,
Side of the
yeah.
Don't worry, we will get to that.
Oh, I'm excited.
So, if you want to hear that, you want to hear us ramble about Neon Genesis Evangelion and Pink Floyd's The Wall, be sure to subscribe to the HeterochroMEDIA YouTube channel to be the first notified when episode 2 comes out of the podcast. And also be sure to follow us where podcasts are available. I'm hoping to have this on Buzzsprout, and hopefully that allows us to extend it to places like Spotify, whatever iTunes calls their podcast thing, things of that nature.
Yeah, no,
I cannot confirm nor deny we will be on all those platforms. But hey, there's a first for everything. So, I am losing my voice. We are going to go off and have some fun at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
I was about to say, should we share the movie that we're going to be watching?
Yeah.
Where'd my phone go?
Word.
I'm sitting on it.
It's that time of the night, folks.
Yeah, so it's almost Halloween, so we're going to be watching a horror movie. Now, Readout had asked Jess and I what we would like to watch.
This was to entice them going through these 3 hours of me talking about Glory in 86.
So, for those of you you wouldn't know this, but Jess and I love B-movies. We watch B-movies all the time. And one of the movies we stumbled upon a year ago?
Almost like that.
Yeah, is the Reanimator series of movies. So we're going to be watching the first Reanimator film tonight, which will be Readout's first experience with the franchise.
I'm ready.
There are some scenes
You're
I'm
not.
worried about, but I think it'll be overall enjoyable.
How am I not ready? I'm more than happy.
There's I think of at least
Just
one
the
scene.
one scene I'm really
in
thinking
particular
about.
is going to be rough, but
yeah, it should be fun.
So, what is it?
that scene. Oh, we're not talking about that on the podcast.
It would get you.
It's NSFW.
Oh. But tell them the movie.
Oh, right. Well, we said Reanimator.
Oh,
Reanimator by I can't remember the director.
I don't know the director, but it's based off the Lovecraft story.
Yeah, there's a Lovecraft. There's a Lovecraft
story.
short story. Oddly, one of his World War I set stories. Interestingly enough.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off for tonight, so thank you for listening. We'll see you in episode 2. Neon Genesis Evangelion, Pink Floyd's The Wall. I am ready for the dread. You don't need no education. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.